Hello, friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you are hearing my voice. I welcome you to my YouTube channel, The World of Viruses. Again, my name is Professor Festus Sadu. The topic today is the virus army waging war against your immune defenses. What a topic. If you have been following my video, you must have been quite familiar with viruses by now. What are they? How do you recognize them? How do they cause infections and diseases in your body? Have you ever thought of a virus acting like an invading enemy army, destroying and disarming its victims of all its defensive weapons, afflicting its victims with deadly attacks to capture the whole body territory? If at this point, my friend, if at this point you have not thought of anything like this, I am introducing to you through this short video a virus that fits into all I've described above. The virus that does this so well is the Human Immunodeficiency Virus, normally known as HIV. This is the germ that causes the acquired immunodeficiency, heavily armed with arsenal. Recognized worldwide for the first time in 1981, this slow but heavily armed viruses has infected up to 88.4 million people, causing the death of about 42.3 million all over the world, using the different genes and protein that is represented in that picture. There's hardly any continent the virus has not invaded. Therefore, my friend, just sit down. You are going to enjoy the lecture. Sit down and watch this few minutes video, and you will come to understand how this slow virus, yet very powerful, does its job. Let me start by first describing unto us the immune system structure of our human body. I will limit my description to the adaptive immune system alone because look at my previous video where I quite went in depth into the non-specific, the other arm of the immune system. The, the human immune system is a complex network of organs, cells, and proteins that defend the body against infections and diseases while protecting the body's own cells. It keeps a record of every germ it has ever defeated, so it can recognize and destroy it quickly whenever it makes an incursion to its territory again. The adaptive immune responses consist of the T cells and the B cells. These are the two different cells. Two cells that have been well trained to fight viral invaders. They have been well trained to fight viral invaders. The B cells, which is usually referred to as the B lymphocytes, they produce antibodies. This antibody can be likened to a fortress, like an army building a fortress against the enemy soldier. This antibody can be likened to a fortress that prevents the invading viruses from moving freely, while the T cells directly attack the cells infected with viruses. The T cells, there's one major difference between them. The T cells don't produce antibody, but they produce T lymphocyte, which directly attack cells infected with viruses, and therefore they act as regulators to our immune system. There are two main types of the T cells: cytotoxic T cells, which function is to destroy the infected cells, and the helper T cells, as the name implies, they send signals that direct other immune cells to fight infection. The T helper cells, otherwise known as CD4 lymphocyte, they help other T cells and the B cells to perform their function in what we know as the T and B cell cooperation. They help fight infection by triggering off our immune system to destroy diseases, viruses, bacteria, and other germs that may make you sick. Another category of the CD4 is the CD4 positive cells. They have a CD4 receptor. That's why we call them CD4 positive receptor on their surface membranes, which they use to enter. Helper T cells don't kill cells. Please know this difference. Hepatitis cells, they don't kill cells directly. Instead, they send signals that tell other cells, you can see the cooperation, that tell other cells in your immune system how to coordinate and mobilize and attack against these viral invaders, against this viral army. I've taken sufficient time now to describe the adaptive defense system for us, for our understanding, to show how the HIV virus wages its war against our well-protected, healthy body. Let's now see, step by step, how does this slow virus wage its war, its destructive war against our body immune system? Number one, the HIV is heavily armed with various genes and proteins. Those are which are represented in the picture. Those are the genes, those are his arsenal, which is uses as his weapon to attack our system, which is uses as his arsenal to attack our system. And the other table, which is also there, is showing the function. This is really very, very important. It's showing how they do it, how the virus uses these genes and the protein to perform this particular function in order to disturb, in order to cause the disease in its host. Its target, let's know this, its very first target, by this time, from my description, you know what I mean by CD4 and CD4 positive cells. These are the strongest defensive weapons of our immune defense system that protect us from diseases. Its first target, the first target of this virus is the CD4. Is the CD4. It's just like somebody disarming his opponent. Disarming his opponent. So the first target is the CD4 and the CD4 positive cells, which are actually the strongest defensive weapon of the adaptive system of our body. The virus uses these components as high affinity receptors, CD4 positive, as high affinity receptor for entry into its host cell. That is the beginning of the infection. That is the beginning of the invasion. It uses the receptor to enter into your body, invade your body. HIV-infected cells, HIV infect the cells and kill the hepatitis cell. Don't forget by this time. Don't forget the role of the hepatitis cell at this point. It infects the T cells, the CD positive cells, resulting in suppression of our cell-mediated immunity. That's the very first result. The body at this point cannot respond to external invasions anymore. Again, what do we see? This eventually predisposes the host to opportunistic infection. Yes, because the body lacks any means of protecting itself now. Opportunistic, even from that name, opportunistic diseases will now begin to come in. This opportunistic disease can be in form of bacterial disease, other viruses, or even cancer, like we see in Kaposi sarcoma, or zoster, or other candidiasis, fungal diseases. These are all the opportunistic diseases because the CD4 and the CD4 positive cells have been destroyed because the virus has totally disarmed his opponent. What are the other ways the virus attacks its victim? Let's see. The virus infects the brain monocytes. It's not only limited to any part of the body. The virus can attack any part of the body. That is why it is called a syndrome. The virus infects brain monocytes, macrophages, producing multinucleated giant cells. Yes. It also acts as super antigen. Not only as antigen, but as super antigen. What is the function of this super antigen? It indiscriminately activates the hepatitis cell, leading to their death. It forces them to die. That's what it means. It forces them to die because it acts as a super antigen. It forces those the CD4 cells to die. And another way it causes the infection is persistent non-lethal infection of the T lymphocyte. The persistent non-lethal, instead of killing the T lymphocyte, it does not kill them, but the infection is there. Therefore, producing more of the viruses. You remember the function of the virus by this time, you know the viruses only reproduce in living cells. So one of the functions of this HIV, one of the things it does with the arsenal is that it causes a non-lethal destruction of the T cells, of the T lymphocyte, therefore producing more of the virus, like in vivo in our body. Yes. But again, another good thing we see here, another way of the virus fighting our body, the army of this HIV fighting our body is that antibodies against this virus are produced. But the unfortunate thing is that they don't neutralize the virus. They neutralize the virus very, very poorly, and therefore does not affect the cause of the disease. This is what it is, unlike what we see in other viruses, that the antibodies neutralize the virus, but it's not the case with HIV virus. Now, I've told us how they cause the infection, how they invade your body. Then, how do they evade? How do they evade? Let's know not invasion now. How do they evade your immune system? Those are the things I'm going to talk to us about. How do they evade? This is a well-armed soldier. This is a well-armed army of viruses. They have devised different ways of conquering their host, of depleting their host, of disarming their host with all their defensive mechanisms. So let me just run through how the different way, how they cause different, how they evade our immune system. Number one is the integration of the viral DNA. The virus integrates. It integrates in its own viral DNA into our own DNA, producing what we now call provirus. Let me quickly explain more a bit on this one. When the virus enters into our body, it finds a way to enter into our DNA, into the host DNA. In fact, this is just like an armed depot. From here, the virus can never be cleared. There's no drug available for the virus to clear the provirus. So it continues to use, like in the army, in the human army, it's just like a depot from where it continues to send more weapons to fight the body. So the provirus continues to supply the viral DNA to our body, thereby causing more disease. That is why once we are infected with HIV virus, that victim is infected forever. Another way of evading the virus, of evading our immune system, is there's high rate of mutation. Very high rate of mutation. The virus can change at any time, especially the envelope virus, the envelope gene, which is at the surface of the virus. Another way is that they produce the production of protein that downgrade our major histocompatibility complex. The major histocompatibility complex is a very strong arm of non-specific adaptive system, a non-specific system of our immune system that protect us at the invasion of any disease. Again, what do we see? That this leads to depletion and destruction of the cell CD4. This is equivalent to disarming the host of its ability to fight back, because they have nothing to fight back right now. The enemy army has been able to disarm all this, to destroy all the components, all the proteins, all the wherewithal with which the host to fight back. They have now been rendered useless. It's as if a whole soldier, a whole army of soldiers has now been disarmed, and they have no weapon again to fight any longer. What again do we see? The interaction between the virus and CD4 receptor initiate viral fusions to the cell membrane and facilitate HIV entry. In addition, the virus causes fusion between HIV-infected cells. Please listen to this. This is really very important. It causes the fusion, as if that was not enough. It causes the fusion of those infected cells already and the uninfected cells, resulting in the formation of a multinucleated giant cells, especially when this one gets to the brain. This can lead to other diseases. It can lead to dementia. It can lead to all those diseases we see. It can lead to other opportunistic diseases. These are all the way the virus fights its host. The uninfected CD cells are, again, another way, the uninfected CD4 cells are recruited into such syncytia, leading to more depletion of the CD4 positive T cells. And we know by this time, we know the function of the CD4 positive cells. They are the one that is responsible for protecting us. They are the one that is responsible for producing the means of resisting this virus, this army. But once they have been destroyed, it's as if the army is the host is totally rendered useless and has no more weapon to fight. By this time, the host has been totally captured. Let's liken it to a nation's army. By this time, the hosts have been totally captured and disarmed, and is left with no defensive weapons to fight back. That's what I just told us earlier. They have no weapon to fight back. Then what is the result? What is the result? Total surrender. Total surrender. That's total surrender. What do we see? What do we see after the total surrender? Don't forget that the The patient has been totally disarmed. He has no means of resisting. He has no means of resistance. He has no means of withstanding the opposing army. So total surrender. What do we begin to see now? Appearance of different forms of diseases, which are usually referred to as opportunistic diseases. Opportunistic. Those are those diseases that under normal condition shouldn't have infected you. But because the body is totally empty now of any defensive system, they come as opportunistic diseases, which I told us earlier. We can see those opportunistic diseases can be in form of bacterial infection, other viral infection, can be in form of fungal diseases. It can even be in form of cancer, like Kaposi sarcoma. So then we see again now the clinical manifestation appears in all the system of the body. That is why it's called a syndrome. That is why it's called a syndrome. Everybody, every part of our body, every part of the body is involved. The army has now been totally annihilated. The virus can do anything it likes. So you see, in every part of the body, in every part of our body, in the nervous system, in the hair, in the brain, in the muscle, everywhere, the virus is there. Because the infected host has no means of protecting itself, a small infection, which will have passed unnoticed, suddenly become a deadly acute or chronic disease. So I think I've so much described this to us this afternoon. I hope we are following the lecture and we are really following how this army of viruses invade you and cause disease in your body. The profound immunosuppression seen in AIDS is due to the depletion of the T helper lymphocytes. I've repeated this often and often today, and the CD4 cells. Eventually, what do we see? What's the result? Eventually, the immune system succumbs and AIDS develops when the key CD4 cells can no longer be replaced. Your body can no longer replace them. Your body can no longer replace them because what you have replaced them has now been destroyed by all the genes, by the arsenal of by the genes and the proteins of the virus. And what are the opportunistic diseases? Usually, the very first time opportunistic disease we see is the oral thrush, which is actually a fungal disease. We see the whole buccal cavity full of fungal infection. And another one is the hairy leukoplakia, which is actually a form of cancer. The form of cancer usually located in the mouth. And again, we see this is a typical AIDS patient. Please know the excessive loss of weight, uncontrollable weight, uncontrollable loss of weight, and uncontrollable diarrhea. You can see all the ribs. You can see this AIDS patient is totally lost all the weight. This is a co-infection. Another opportunistic infection we see, clinical disease we see is the co-infection of HIV and TB. In fact, since the advent of HIV, TB has now returned. This was a disease that was almost at the point of being eradicated. But when HIV came, we now see a co-infection of HIV and tuberculosis. This can be likened to a situation when the sources of arms supply have been totally cut off. And that patient had no control over himself again, especially if it's not on the drug. Then how do you protect? I have told us all this. I've told us of how they cause disease. I've told us what our immune system is, how our immune system fights this virus. I've told us how our body tries to fight back. I've told us of the role of the CD4 and the CD4 positive. Now, how do you protect yourself from the information you have now? How do you now protect yourself from this strong army virus? Unfortunately, please note this, my friend. Let's note it. Unfortunately, there is no preventive weapons yet. That is no vaccine. There's no vaccine. There's no vaccine against this virus yet. But I know virologists, vaccinologists are working day and night to get the virus. But in the absence of virus, what do you do? Please be faithful to your self partner. Be faithful to your wife. Be faithful to your self partner. Abstain from immorality. Abstain from immorality and drug abuse, because these are usually the sources of infection. Abstain from all this. Abstain from all this. But probably this is the take home today. Once you are invaded by the virus, you have to continue to fight with your highly active antiretroviral drug Unfortunately, there's no vaccine, but there are very good drugs now, good drugs that keep like that prolonged life. Even when you are infected, there are very good drugs, which is referred to as highly active antiretroviral drug. If you continue with your drug, you win the battle. But once you cut off the battle, you stop taking the drug, the army is strike back again. So, but you can never win the battle because once you stop fighting, the virus hit back with stronger weapons in its arsenal. My friends, this is the end of my video today. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I hope you have something to gain. I hope you have something to gain. Please don't limit the information to yourself. Please subscribe, share, and share and like, please. Let this video go around because HIV is intercontinental. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And the pandemic is still there till today. So the more we are ready for this virus, the more we are safe. Thank you very much for listening to me. I have to see you again in my next video. But meanwhile, just press that button. Press that button back down and share. Share with your friends. Share with your family members. Share with your community. Share with members of your church. Share with everybody so that we have this information and this information will go around. Thank you very much. I hope to see you next time in my video. Meanwhile, have a wonderful time.